Perfect. We're live. Hi, everyone. My name is Julia DeVries. I'm a staff member at the Ottawa Construction Association. I'm the manager of workforce strategies at OCA. On the webinar and for our presentation today as well, I have one of our board members, Bruce Thomas, on the call as well. Bruce, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm the president of Ron Eastern Construction, and I'm a board member at the Construction Association, as well as the chairman of the Education Committee.
Perfect. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Over our presentation, we'll be going over a little bit about what the Ottawa Construction Association has been working on, a bit of a dream of ours that's come to reality over the last 16 months. A little bit about construction in Ottawa, where our industry is, and what we're kind of planning for the future as well. Feel free, I believe, with each presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the Q&A box that you guys have, and we'll monitor that throughout the presentation. So coming to a little bit about us in Ottawa here. Here's a little two graphics just about the construction industry and a bit of an overview. So on the left graphic that you have is the population growth of Ottawa. With the Ottawa Construction Association, we are the second biggest construction association in Canada. We are second to Toronto with about just under 1,200 members. But obviously, interesting enough, Ottawa is not the second biggest city that's in Canada. There's Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Edmonton ahead of us. So we are the second biggest, and it's showing with the size and the growth of our city. So on the left is just the population growth since 2006, and on the right-hand side also is more so demonstrative facts of the building permits that are given out by the city of Ottawa, and how many millions and in fact billions of dollars are going into those permits from each one. So with construction in Canada is a $6 billion industry. And us in Ottawa, we employ roughly around 50,000 people in that. And because we are a bit of a split city, kind of covering on the Quebec side and the Ottawa side, Ontario side with the National Capital Region, it's split between those two. So there's about 35,000 workers living in the Ottawa side, and then almost 16,000 workers on the Quebec side. It is 4% construction in Canada that relates to the GDP. So it's quite a big figure. And Bruce, feel free to jump in if you want to talk about any of the.
No, you're doing great. Keep it up. I'll jump in as needed.
Perfect. So if you're not familiar, if you are a student kind of in Southern Ontario, perhaps Northern Ontario, or of course, Western Ontario. Us here in Eastern Ontario, there's a lot of really fun and amazing projects happening in Ottawa. A lot of them federal, but we do have a few noteworthy ones happening now that we just always like to highlight. One of the big ones that we're starting to do tours of actually is our Atasoki, is the Ottawa Public Library. So it is a major project that will be done by PCL Constructors. It's the top left photo that you see there. It'll be completed in about 2 years' time, but the frame of it is up now, up on Albert Street for us here, and it's about $335 million project. Top right is the stage 2 of the light rail, which is a major project. They're finished stage 1 just before COVID hit in end of 2019, and then stage 2 light rail is coming in. So that's $4.5 billion for that project. So big money that we're talking about that are projects happening in Ottawa. And then lastly, the bottom one, we do have numerous sports teams that operate out of Lansdowne is what it's known by us. So Lansdowne Park 2.0 hosts the Ottawa PWHL, the women's hockey team, our Ottawa OHL 67s teams, the Ottawa Red Blacks football team, as well as Athletico soccer. So in that development that we are calling kind of Lansdowne 2.0, it's going to be over $400 million, potentially even more than that. A big project coming where they'll be redoing the stands, redoing the arena, and new condos to go over that as well. And if there's any Sens fans at all, LeBreton Flats, we call here, is a development by our NCC, our National Capital Commission. So new area going in and a little bit of a drawing there about the Ottawa Senator. So new arena moving from Canada to more of our downtown core. 2 years ago, and most notably this past September, there's been more talks and confirmations about that coming to that area. Just about selling that land to from the NCC to the owner. So that'll be coming in the next decade for us, but still exciting nonetheless. That is also where our Blues Fest happens, just across the street at the War Museum. And then the left side image there is the condos for Dream LeBreton. So there'll be massive 31 and 36 story towers to be done by Ellis Dawn. And just looking here, I believe someone had their hand up. Maybe we can come back to this and allow you to talk after. At the very end, we'll have some questions if you can hold on to that. So just going into that's a little bit of a highlight of what's happening with us in Ottawa. So as you can see, kind of, lots of money going into projects, lots of things being added to our city. And all that is fueled into, this is where kind of Bruce has come in as he sits on our board of directors, and what has been the dream for our OCA Careers Initiative. Bruce, did you want to highlight just a little bit about what kind of where this came from for you?
Yeah, we can, but just like since someone's got their hand up, we can answer it, Julie, if we want. I think you just need to unmute yourself because according to my screen, the person's muted. JI or JL, if you want to unmute and ask your question, go for it. No.
Nope.
Okay. Well, when you do, we'll go from there. So the careers website that we developed was something that I brought to the OCA about 4 years ago, from a career experience I had of bringing young people to our construction sites and walking around and showing them, what construction was all about and getting them a chance to ask all kinds of different questions and actually see people working. So we kind of call it taste testing the industry and taking a look at what you might find interesting. And I've had a lot of success with various, typically high school students that we've taken for walks. And the story I tell at this point is of a young lad who was in grade 12. It was about 4 years ago that his mother worked with my wife, and she had mentioned he didn't know what he wanted to do. And he was trying to find a career or something to do in grade 12. And so I said, why don't you come for a walk? We spent a couple hours at a apartment construction project we had going, and he asked a lot of questions. And at the end, he said, pretty interested in what the electrician does. And I said, well, why don't I arrange for an electrical contractor that's on the job here to take you for a walk and be more specific about that career choice. And so we arranged that, and he went for a walk and was super interested, and decided to join the electrical union and get it into an apprentice situation. And he is now going into his 3rd year, working his way to become a full journey person. So really enjoys it. He found something that was interested, but he wouldn't have had that opportunity maybe if he didn't get a chance to look at it. So what we decided here was to take that concept and create a website that highlights all the different careers in the construction industry, and not just the skilled trades that everybody hears about all the time, which are all wonderful, but all kinds of different careers, from estimators to project managers to city building inspectors and engineers and architects, and show people what people do. And maybe one of those would resonate with you. And we turned it into this website, which Julie is going to walk you through the various elements of it. So it's a chance for her to take what I was doing on a very small scale and take it to a very much bigger scale and touch a bigger audience. So Julia will walk you through everything that we've done.
So at the very end of the slide deck that we have, I have a QR code as well that you guys can follow up after to see. It's just ocacareers.ca, but here I'll walk you through. So as you just heard from Bruce's, fantastic story of that inspiration and kind of seeing firsthand from a young man who really didn't know what he wanted to do after grade 12 in high school. So with the OCA Careers website, the real mission is to promote careers in the construction industry. And as Bruce just mentioned, we are focusing on the entire industry, not just the skilled trades. really connecting youth with industry professionals and showcasing all the educational resources for us specifically in Ottawa, so in the National Capital Region. And the screenshot here, I should mention, this is just our screenshot of the homepage. I'll walk through it after and I'll get out of our slide deck and actually show the website and show some of the videos. But we have a few tabs just at the top and I'll walk through each one. We have a full video library. There's over 180 different videos that are currently hosted on our website. They are very relatable. Most of them are short in length, almost like an Instagram reel, like a TikTok. Hearing firsthand from people in our industry, whether they're new, they're entry level into the industry, they're intermediate, they've been working for, over 10 years, or perhaps they're very experienced and they've been working for over 15, 20, 30 years. The Connect tab, we'll get into that after, but that's where we're really connecting youth with industry professionals and opportunities. We post on our other website at the Ottawa Construction Association, different employment opportunities as well that our members put forward to us. Our co-op tab, some resources, and a few spotlight pages that really highlights our members and what's happening in Ottawa. So when you click on our careers tab, this is what you'll see. So it is a little bit of a nice show and tell graphic, in alphabetical order of all the jobs that we have listed on there. So as you can see, it starts off with architect, there's assistant project manager, entry or pardon me, or intermediate to experienced level. So after you click on one, and of course, like I mentioned, there's over 180, so it goes down and down and doesn't really stop. We do have English and French videos. We have about 20 videos posted on our website right now. And this is what kind of the behind the scenes has looked like. So earlier this year, we launched this website back in March 2024. And this is what behind the scenes has looked like. As you can see, some sunny days, some cloudy days, some pictures with the Parliament buildings in the back being in Ottawa, some in quarries inside as well in offices. So it's been a really fun experience to say the least. And when you click on one of those icons in the video library, this is what you're going to see. So here's two screenshots of two women that we were able to interview this year that are on our website. So we'll go over the one on the left of Heather. So Heather's a paver operator. She's entry level. So despite her age, she is in her 40s. She's new to the construction industry. So a little bit of a description underneath what she means as a paver is her job description, and as well as some key categories of the environment, the category, what education is required, and as well as salary range. That's really important, when you're looking at what kind of jobs you're potentially interested in and what sort of revenue you can bring in for yourself. And as you can see in her video as well, we are on her job site that was just east in Ottawa, building and paving a roundabout. On the right-hand side, that's just a screenshot of Maria. She's a field coordinator for PCL, and she's actually at at OCA, the Ottawa Public Library site, in one of their mobile office trailers. So although she's on site, she's in one of the trailers, and it's very nice water, plumbing inside for their kitchen, their toilets, heating, cooling for summer and winter. As a field coordinator, she is a civil engineer by trade, and starting off in her career, her position title is field coordinator. So the description below that is just what all that entails. And for Maria, she's on site. Her category is more so under construction management, as she's working for a general contractor. And for herself, her education path is either, a diploma or a degree. There's different routes you can go. And starting off for her entry-level position, the figure you see on there is what you can kind of roughly expect to be making during that time. So going over to our Connect side and seeing a little bit about what that page looks like. So we like to call this a little bit of our taste testing, but we're really connecting youth interested with industry professionals in our neck of the woods. So the great story that Bruce mentioned, that's just one of the small tales that are able to tell. And we are looking to grow that and expand it. So whether it be wanting to talk to someone, wanting to tour a construction site, wanting to just ask questions about the silly things. And there's no really silly questions in our industry, whether it be where's the bathroom on site, do you go to an office before heading to site if you're on the kind of more skilled trade side of things. There's no silly questions there. So the screenshot that we have is just of the page that we'll showcase afterwards, but it is a fillable form. This information, if you're filling it out yourself and you're a student, be filling out your name, email, your contact information, and what sort of career you may be interested in. That gets sent back to us. We see that email, and then we'll be reaching out to you to, how can we go to the next step with you and connect with someone in our industry. Like I mentioned, Ottawa Construction Association is the second biggest construction association in all of Canada. So we have a huge amount of members that we're able to dig our teeth into and ask all sorts of questions with. Bruce, anything else that you wanted to mention on this?
No, you're doing great. Keep it up.
All right, going through next our co-op tab. So I know there's a range of students on this video today. Co-op is an amazing resource that's utilized obviously in high school and also in post-secondary as well. For us in Ottawa and the Valley, listed on our co-op page is really the main post-secondaries, and then as well the high school boards, and in the Valley as well, French, English, public, Catholic as well, reaching out back to all of their co-op pages. We do have a great video that we'll show after, a really good telltale story of a student who had started actually on one of our tours, one of our construction tours here in Ottawa when he was in high school, and just being on that tour, kind of standing back in his class, got to ask some questions to the men and women on site at the time, and hear kind of what programs, what schools did they go to. Had listened and decided to jump on that. Went to Algonquin College for civil technician. Civil engineering technician, and he's now one of the site superintendents for our PCL Elliston joint project for center block rehabilitation. So really great telltale story of just all the connections, opportunities that you're able to make with co-op, even at the high school level. You're never too young. And I just have some kind of, quick information here, just about co-op education. If your school's not very big into it, I would definitely ask your guidance counselor, but co-op education is really just a method of combining the classroom-based education that you're given with the practical work experience as well. So other areas that you might have heard that on the more academic side, whether it be a medical residency part, learning the technical sides of a trade, an internship, or perhaps legal articling. There's all parts of different careers where you can't learn everything through a book. And so that's where some co-op experience, co-op education can come in. Next on our resources tab, we have more listed. This is a bit of an outdated image now, but more listed just as we're growing and hearing about more fantastic resources that we have in the province. But this links up to, there's lots of grants out there right now, lots of amazing programs that are happening in Ontario and in Ottawa specifically. Honor the Work being one of them, we are focused more on middle school to high school, talking to young adults and teenagers. Honor the Work focuses on the more kindergarten to grade 6 ages. A really amazing initiative by women from Oakville. Women on site as well. The amount of women going into construction nowadays is rising. It is not, although it is still male populated, it's not male dominated. And there's plenty of women heading in there and lots of different groups as well that are very passionate about that. We have OEAP as well, or SHISM listed if you're familiar with that. We have our 2 main school boards listed on there for us in Ottawa, and plenty of other resources as well. So just like to highlight that on our page. And I think now is probably a good time. I'll just skip on out and I'll actually show some of our videos. So if you are listening, I guess your speakers will already be up, but we always like to kind of showcase a few different videos within the website. So here's in real time our website. And the video that I've chosen for this is from Kevin Reagan. He's a red seal carpenter in Ottawa. And I'll go ahead and play his video and you can hear a little bit about his story.
My name is Kevin Regan. I'm a general carpenter for A1 Carpentry, who is signatory to the United Brothers of Carpenters, Local 93. At this job site, we're specifically working for the general contractor here, doing various numbers of tasks. We're doing certain things, anything that arises out of the ordinary, such as knee walls or concrete steps or even rebar. Right now we're working on opening up the ceiling so other sub-trades can get in and access the ceilings, and then we'll be responsible for closing them all up. Well, I originally started going to school. I was going to Carleton University. I was taking history actually, and I quickly realized I'm not a university guy. And from there I went into the trades. A lot of my friends were taking the Heritage Carpentry course in Perth, at the Algonquin campus at Perth, Ontario, and that seemed to really pique my interest, especially meshing in with the whole history element of it. So that was a 2-year comprehensive program, so I took that for 2 years, and then when that was finished, started looking for work, started looking for different jobs, and then within 6 months I was with the union. So from there, I've basically been many different companies, but I've been with A1 now for 7.5 years. The key factors was, going to university for a bit, realizing that being an office person or being behind a desk, shall we say, is not necessarily the path that was, that I was right for. I always enjoyed working with my hands, and I enjoy at the end of the day having a good sense of accomplishment of accomplishing the tasks that are given to us, and you feel good at the end of the day going home, being a little bit tired and feeling like you've accomplished all the tasks that were given to you. Well, like I was saying before, I took a 2-year Heritage Carpentry course at the Algonquin campus in Perth. It's a great course for anybody looking to get into the field, into carpentry. It teaches you all different types of joinery, log building, sort of things that you don't see as much anymore and we kind of take for granted, but it really makes you appreciate the entire trade of carpentry. So a day starts usually, show up on site 10 to 15 minutes early, go downstairs, get our tools ready, inspect everything, do our safety sheets, and then checking in with the general contractor to see what tasks they have for that day, what's priority. From there, we'll go and we'll accomplish those tasks, and then it varies so much day to day. So you really have to have your brain on a swivel, shall we say. And from there, you do your day and then you go home after your 8 hours. The thing I like most about what I do is a strong sense of accomplishment, working hard every single day, know that you've worked hard for your pay and that you can go home and you have a strong sense of pride in the things you've done. And it's nice to go around and drive around with the kids and say, oh yeah, Daddy worked on that building, Daddy worked on that building. So it's there's a lot of pride in it. Well, in the same vein, some of the challenges is, because there are so many different tasks, it's wrapping your brain around, you could go from finishing work on one hand to 2 minutes later you're called off to do rough carpentry. So you really have to switch your brain into different sort of modes, into in order to accomplish different tasks. So it's a bonus, but it's also a challenge, because you could be focusing so hard on one thing that to shift to the next thing, you have to stop focusing on that and get focused onto the next thing. I think a lot of people come in and they think a lot of people might be overwhelmed with the fact that with what you have to do as a carpenter, but then once you put your head down and really realize what the task is at hand, it's one of those things that you realize with time and skill that you can sort of accomplish anything. So I guess that's a bit of a surprise, in the sense that once you believe in yourself and once you have the proper training and the proper education, that yeah, you can accomplish anything. And I think for a lot of people it builds a lot of confidence. So that was a bit surprising. So I would say if you have zero experience or very little experience, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to just get your feet wet. You know, going to Algonquin, taking a 6-month quick course. If you're in high school still, take the pre-apprenticeship course, get your feet wet in the trades. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And then once you have a bit of experience, I would highly recommend joining the Carpenters Union, because the atmosphere, the lifestyle, the just all around benefits of being a union carpenter far outweighs a lot of people who didn't necessarily choose that path, which I wish I would have known earlier on. Contact the union. They have all the pre-apprenticeship programs. Contact Local 93. They'll set you up. I mean, they have all the free training. They have pre-apprenticeship programs. They have once you've passed everything, they'll place you on a job right away. And don't be afraid. Like, honestly, it's a great lifestyle. It's a great life that I have. The union brings a lot of dignity to a lot of men and women, and you can't ask for a better career path.
So there's just a sample, and that is kind of more of a longer one, but a sample of the videos that we have on our website, just to hear firsthand. Obviously, that's a great story, and one that we hear often, of kind of taking a path or taking what you think is right for you, and then figuring out perhaps a different way is best suited for you. So Kevin works for a company, A1 Carpentry, here in Ottawa, a large firm. And the building that is in behind is a brand new condo building that was built here in Ottawa in the Westboro area. The other video that will play next is kind of more on the showcasing other careers that we're showcasing on the construction side, which is a controller. So Lisa's video, who I'll play next, she has her CPA, so Chartered Professional Accountant. There are many jobs that are still required in our industry that aren't typically ones that you may think of. Construction lawyer, insurance, there's a whole lot kind of on different admin sides, you could say, of different jobs. So here's Lisa's video. There's, as you can see in the bottom, a little bit about kind of briefly what she does, and she'll go into it more in her video. She's in the office side. Her more sort of category falls under the professional. She does have a degree, and her salary does range to plus or minus $100,000. So I'll play Lisa's video now.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hoople. I'm the controller of Arlo Solutions, which is a family of companies of Excel Contracting, Hanson Lawn and Garden, and Vitality Landscaping. As a controller, my role is to oversee anything finance related. So anything related to billing, accounts payable, accounts receivable, budgeting, banking. Really, if it has anything to do with finance, I'm either doing the day-to-day transactions or overseeing the staff that do those tasks. That love of the construction space. So when I was working at this engineering firm, I just really loved kind of how down to earth everyone was. I really found it very nice to come to work every day. And I really come to realize that that was part of being in the construction industry. So when I came to my current role, I was really specifically looking for construction. I wanted to work in that space, but I also wanted a little more work-life balance. So, you know, at the time I was on my first maternity leave. I was on maternity leave with my first child, and unfortunately the role I was in before was just very demanding. A lot of overtime, a lot of evenings and weekends, and so I wanted to find a job where I could do what I love in the space that I love, but be able to kind of clock out at 4 o'clock, go home and be with my family. When I took my CMA, I was working for the National Gallery of Canada. I decided to pursue that because it would, you know, get you further in your career if you had this designation. And so it was pretty hard. It was 2 years where you're doing both the course as well as full-time work. You're doing homework in the evenings and you're doing courses on the weekends. But the good thing is the program is really designed for full-time employees. So you have to get a fair amount of practical experience and get it signed off by your superiors saying, yes, you did help with the financial statements or you were part of budgeting or whatever the case may be. So it has its pros and cons, but it ultimately takes about 2 years. And then when you're done, you are a full-fledged CMA, now CPA, and you kind of just maintain that designation. I use a good amount of my formal education. My Bachelor of Commerce really provided like the foundation of your understanding of kind of how all the different departments work, how business works in general. And then the CMA, the CPA, it provided more understanding of things like budgeting, strategic decision making. So I use that in my everyday. Personally, as a controller, my role is to kind of make some high-level decisions and oversee the staff. So being able to use those skills that I learned to analyze different options ahead of us and kind of come up with this is what the numbers are telling us. This is where the numbers are saying we should go, but also being able to intersperse that with kind of the qualitative reasons why you might want to do something or not do something. That's a big part of what you learn in the CMA. So I use that every single day. It's a mix. So finance is a really cyclical role. You're doing the same things almost every month. You know, you'll hear a lot of finance people talk about month end. You always have to have the exact same things done every single month to kind of close off that previous month's financial results. So your day is this mix of very routine as well as ad hoc, you know, challenging things that are coming up as a result of major projects or major process changes. So it's this weird blend of both. One day you might be more doing the routine stuff that needs to get done. The next day you might be working really hard on implementing a new software or implementing a new process. The most unexpected thing to me about the construction industry in general was how nice everyone was. Everyone was so down to earth and so wonderful to be around. Because I'm on the administration side and I'm mostly in the office, I've never really noticed much in the way of inequality. The only time I really notice anything is when you're at networking events. In my experience personally, things related to heavy construction, it can seem very male dominated. You can walk into a room and feel like one of very few women. But I find that the conversation with the men does really flow. And also over the last couple of years, I've noticed a really big shift. There are much more women in the room than there ever used to be. So for myself, I've never really noticed a concern, but there does seem to be this growth of women in the industry, which is really exciting. Get experience. Experience is key. Your education will provide a really amazing foundation for what it is you want to do, but the experience is what's going to set you apart. So, you know, it doesn't matter what job, what role, Once you reach the construction space, the opportunity for growth and learning is astronomical. So just to get in and start learning about different companies, different processes, that's what's going to truly set you apart.
So that was Lisa's video there. I'll just quickly, just because we have a few more minutes left, but not enough time for me to play it. On the website here, this is it in real time. If you do go on our co-op page, we do have a new, the story that I was mentioning earlier about Michael's co-op story, who had done co-op with the same employer in high school, then in his post-secondary at college. And he's been hired by that same company and has worked for them ever since. And he's in his early to mid 30s now, which is a really awesome story to hear. Not many people who, you know, were employed by someone when they were a teenager are still with them many years later and almost a decade later. So if you want to, feel free to check out the video, a shorter video under 5 minutes on that page for us. And lastly, just coming back to the presentation, before, if there are any questions, we can you can raise your hand and we can allow you to unmute. This is just a graphic that we have that is from OYAP. It is from 2019, so it is 5 years old now, but it's just the pathways in the construction industry. There are so many different credentials that people have behind them and all different pathways to it. The first one at the top there is apprenticeship, most notable for skilled trades, the red seal after either 2 to 5 years, depending on the trade. You will get certified for your red seal in Canada. Most notable as well is looking, if my mouse is hovering over it, at the amount of money involved with each one. So kind of looking at how much debt and how much of an investment it is for each level. So apprentice, you know, the average student debt coming out of it because you're working all throughout your apprenticeship is 0. Going down then next to college, it's roughly $26,000 Canadian. Like I mentioned, is 5 years old, so that number probably has grown now. And then below that is university. So just all different pathways to consider. Kind of a misconception with apprenticeship is that they aren't that long, but they are relatively the same amount of time as university. And lastly, just have some figures. This is from the a CAF report that was done last year. It's just really about looking at money making after just after graduating post-secondary. So the figure on the left is just the amount of money made, kind of average salary for college and university undergraduate degree, and then a trade certification. So that's always a question kind of that when we do these presentations, some kids do ask. And then the figure on the right is the highest paying trade jobs. Obviously depends as well with if you're working overtime, if you want to make money more on the weekend without, if you're, let's say, an electrician or a carpenter and want to make some more money. You always have that opportunity, of course. But those are the at certification, the light blue figure on the graph on the right-hand side, and then the darker blue is 4 years after completion. So those figures are in Canadian dollars. And then as well, this is these stats are from 2010. So will be updated hopefully soon, but it gives you a good figure to see. And then lastly, as I mentioned, and as we just showcased, but if anyone does want to use that QR code and use your phone to scan it, but the website that and the tool that we've launched is just www.ocacareers.ca. We launched it less than a year ago. We launched it this year in March. So it is still new and we are still actively adding library videos to it and growing that. And you can tell with the ones that are new on the website, they will have a tag saying recently added on them. So we're constantly adding from the design side videos, consulting, general contracting, construction management space, suppliers, professionals, and everything kind of in between. So there really is something for everyone to learn and potentially relate to in that. Any final words from you, Bruce?
No, I think we're good. We have, what, 6 minutes or 5 minutes for questions if anybody has any.
And if anyone does have any, if you want to just hit the raise hand and we can unmute you.
Doesn't look like we have any questions. So
Yes, no questions. And as I mentioned before, really in our industry, there's no silly questions. That's a huge way in how learning is done in our industry. There's always so much more to learn. So if you don't have anyone in the construction industry and you're thinking about getting into it, there's lots of jobs to be had in our industry right now and in the future as well. But ask someone, whether a family friend or someone at your school. There's always opportunities out there. If there are no questions, we thank you guys for attending this presentation. If you have any questions future, I'm a full-time staff. My name is Julia with the Ottawa Construction Association, and you can reach out back to us. I can get out of here. On the website, if you were to go to the Connect page, right here, you'll see that fillable form that reaches back out to us. So if you have any questions at all, we're able to connect you with someone in that.
well, there is one question there, and the question is, can I do an apprenticeship without a high school degree? That's a good question, and I do believe you need a high school degree, but I don't know that for sure, and it may depend on the particular trade union. So you can either reach out to Julia and we can ask a question of, say, Local 93, the Carpenters Union, and see what the answer to this. I don't know that offhand.
Mm-hmm. I know for some trades it depends. I know with glazing, for glazers, the requirement is grade 10 is their base minimum, but it does depend, I believe, from trade to trade. So if there's one that you're thinking of, you can pose that to us, or even if it's just a question using that form, and we can contact them and figure that out for you. That's a great question.
Okay, well, according to Google here and the Ontario Apprenticeship Ministry of Colleges and Universities, before one can register as an apprentice, they must show evidence of having required secondary school credits, certificate or diploma. So it may not be a full-blown diploma. It may be certain secondary credits, and I think it probably depends on which union you're dealing with. So.
Perfect. I'll stop sharing there now. Okay. There's no other questions. Thank you very much for asking questions and listening to both Bruce and I. As mentioned, we're here as a resource, our association, so please feel free to reach out to us. And if not, happy looking at, oh, I see one more. Happy looking at the website. Is there the question I was just asked in the chat is there electrician unit? And yes, there is a electrical union. I think Bruce is typing something right now.
It's International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. It's IBEW, and if you Google IBEW, you will find them.
Yeah, IB for Bruce, EW.
W. I just typed the answer into the chat. So. Okay, well, it is 7:38, so we've pretty much used our time if no one else has any questions.
Perfect. Thank you all. Bruce, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll talk to you shortly. Next couple of days, probably. Okay, bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.